This is kind of crazy, but I'm going to see if I can try and knock this out in a couple of hours. Hey guys, it's Deborah and welcome to my channel where we talk about the business side of self-publishing. I actually had a completely different video planned for you guys today, but when I woke up this morning, I found out that Amazon KDP just rolled out its hardcover beta wide. When I saw that I could finally publish a hardcover on KDP, I was so excited that I was like, that's it. I'm dropping everything that I'm planning to do today so I can get my children's book onto KDP as a hardcover at last. At the moment, KDP are only offering 5 trim sizes for their hardcovers, and unfortunately for me, square trim sizes are not in any of those options. So I'm still stuck with doing my hardcovers on Ingram Spark. But since I published my first book, I have been considering putting out some low content books to go with that first book. So my particular niche is around language learning, and there are all sorts of complementary products that go with language learning books, like writing practice workbooks, for example. So one of the marketing things that I do for my imprint is to post these little weekly calligraphy things for new characters and vocabulary reels over on Instagram. And something I've always wanted to do was to create a writing practice workbook for these. Now, I'm not quite in a position to do that yet because a lot of the books in this particular genre usually wait until they've got like 50 or 100 characters before they put out like a workbook or a worksheet or something like that. So I still have maybe another year's worth of art to go before I can put one of those out. However, I did get struck by inspiration recently during this most recent Sydney lockdown because what my daughter and I have been doing is journaling together. I've kept a journal since I was 5 years old, so I try to make journaling a regular practice that I do. And it's been a bit of a struggle to do that with homeschooling and daycares being shut and all of that stuff. So one thing I thought would be nice to do with my daughter is we got her a little journal of her own, and we've been incorporating a lot of writing practice into that journal. So we are doing both English and Chinese writing practice at the minute. What I do right now is I trace a lot of the Chinese and English words for her to write in it because she's still learning how to write a lot of that stuff. I kind of had the idea of doing this as a standalone printable for people to print out that they could use at home. But then I took the thinking further and went, you know what? I can actually publish this as a low content book, especially now that Amazon is offering hardcovers, which is just perfect for something a little bit more rugged, like a journal, for example. This is kind of crazy, but I'm going to see if I can try and knock this out in a couple of hours. So roughly speaking, I think there are about 7 steps that I need to do in order to get this thing published. The first thing I'm going to do is pick my trim size. We're going to look at something about this size, which has been a good size for her to work with. 15 centimeters by 20, just 21 and a half, something like that. And that's the size we are going to go with. Part of me is tempted to go like a little bit smaller because it might work out to be cheaper. But you know what? I think I'm just going to go for the 6x9. I don't actually have to do premium color ink and white paper anymore because that's really actually nice because premium color is really expensive printing. I think the cream paper is just going to look maybe like a little bit weird in a kid's journal, especially if they try to do any coloring. So this is the option that we are going to go with. Now let's check the formatting requirements for the interior. For this particular kind of low content book, I do not actually need to do bleed, which is great because I am not planning to have any pictures in here per se that are going to go edge to edge like this. The idea for this particular journal is I kind of want to do, I kind of want to give it like a daily option kind of journal. So we're looking at say 365 pages plus like the title page and maybe some back matter, vocab lists and stuff like that. So let's say we have about 375 pages, something like that. Page count. So we're going to be somewhere in this range, right? So I need to leave. All right. So we're going to head over to Scribit and we are going to do a new document. We're going to have facing pages. Our size is going to be custom. Orientation will be portrait. The width of this page, we're just going to go up into the trim sizes here, is 1524 centimeters. Then we're going to go to margins and check my margins. Explorer. So you can see that this blue is indicating where my margins are. All right, so I'm going to create a title page. I'm going to deliberately use a lighter opacity on all of the text, and then that way the kid can literally just trace over it. Usually when we're writing Chinese characters, we practice with these grids so you can get these like all nice looking proportionally. Now next I'm going to let's do a line down here for the English name. That's my first page done. Oh, you know what? I forgot to put a timer up. So let's start the timer now. Like we got to add on 20 minutes for this particular timer. We are going to go now and add 2 pages. So that here we have the interior journal. So what I kind of had in mind was that I wanted there to be a like roughly a page that kind of alternates the Chinese and English. At least that's kind of how I've been doing it. So we are going to go and put in some new text, and we're going to start off with the date. And all right, here is the big experiment. Don't know if I can do this, but we'll see. We'll see how we go. All right, so I'm gonna open this interior, which is supposed to be like my full file, right? So we've got 4 pages in there so far. So I want to import. All right, back to research and Scribus. Scribus, select for output. What does that do? All right, note. Import SLA. You know what? I think it may be easier to export, save as PDF. Usually, this lets me change this. Oh, right, yeah, let's activate that. Okay, so once you activate that, yes. All right, so now I can do this. I think I can, in theory, combine. So let me see if I remember how to do this using Automator. Okay, so that seems to have worked too. All right, so what happens if I do this and go merge 90? Hopefully that works, in which case we're gonna have like a nice little journal done. While that's going, I'm gonna start thinking about the cover. I haven't actually tried this before, so let's see what this cover creator looks like. I remember vaguely looking at this when I was doing my paperback and thinking, no, I'm gonna go template. Always a good idea to read the README text. This is the settings we're gonna input in Describer. So if I go to Describer, it needs a cover, so I might try Canva. Oh, look at that. There are some covers in here, which is cute. Some of these are like very cute. So I guess there are a lot of people doing low content books. First up, we are going to upload this thing here so that we can actually figure out where everything's going to go, because we basically want to make sure this is all covered up. My daughter is a huge fan of unicorns right now, and yeah, I'm just like, I don't know so much about that. I kind of want to go for something a bit more neutral, just because like my personal pet peeve is like really gendered stuff, like for kids, which I'm just like, there's no reason to gender stuff for kids. Like they're so young that it really does need to be gendered at this stage. Let's go with that. All right, now when I download it, this is hopefully gonna be okay. Oh, and that font can only be used for personal use. Okay, well, there goes that. In that case, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna delete the text off of this and download that, because if you actually go to Google Fonts, you can actually use it commercially. OMG, this is like quite possibly the most efficient way to do this. Cover is done, and we're only like 4 hours into this process. So I don't know, there are like video tutorials out there about how to do low content publishing much faster than this, which I should have fully researched, but I feel like a lot of them require you to do like you buy software and stuff, because there's like literally whole software all around this. I think I have everything. I'm actually not sure if I want to burn an ISBN on this, to be honest. And we're going to go look at some of the Chinese writing practice workbooks. But where do you even get that? Education, children's book, education reference, handwriting. Oh, no, hang on. I feel like these are BISAC categories, not Amazon categories. So what, I should open Publisher Rocket for this. Let's go over and look at some product description. So, I need to like go through and do these updated product descriptions too. I suck so much at writing copy. Alright, so I'm going to log in and grab my ISBNs. Pricing is going to be an interesting one. I'm not going to fill that out yet, so save it to you. My merge tool thing over in Automator is clearly not working. Now this looks like everything's in order. Oh, low content publishing is hard-ish. Like, I mean, harder than you think it would be. Like, you kind of intellectually sit there and you're just like, it's too easy, just upload like a blank interior. But as you can see, clearly a lot more thought goes into it. We're at like almost 4.5 hours and counting. So hopefully I'm going to be done with this really soon because I am super hungry. One thing I don't know if I should do is put my logo somewhere. Maybe on like the title page. That was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I kind of had in my mind that I'd be able to get that done in 2 hours, but as we can see, I spent like basically 2 hours trying to do all of the interior, and then like another 2 hours like fiddling around with everything else. Oh, that's right. I have to set pricing. I have to set the pricing. So people are pricing like the journals like this, which is like what? How many? 103 pages. Hardcover journals are selling for like, you know what? I might try and do this for like $24.95. Do I have a preview? I do. All right, so CMYK, so the colors kind of like aren't as bright. This object is outside the region. All right, so that was an interesting exercise. I can totally see how this would be a very viable income stream once you kind of like get the hang of this down. This is definitely like about as long as I spend just doing like one of my normal books. honestly, when it comes to print formatting. We're almost there. We're so close. I've only done this like 3 times now. All right, here we go. We are going to actually order the proof copies. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Thank you. We are done. That turned out to be a lot longer than I expected. I have been going for about 5.5 hours now, but we are finally done. The proof copies should be on their way. So I'm going to call it a day here. Have you guys thought about doing low or no content self-publishing? Let me know in the comments because I'd love to hear your thoughts. See you guys there.